Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm presenting my May favorites and I'm putting them on my face. I tried quite a bit this month, even though I tried to rein down the buys a little bit. But I received some lovely makeup from my mom when we went to Eindhoven in the start of this month, and I did buy some things here and there and they were all hits. I loved everything I tried. So I'm going to present the options we have and then I'm just going to pick and choose whatever I feel like. And maybe I should do a part 2 because there is actually enough favorites to do a part 2, but that's probably not going to happen. So we went to the department store and I picked up some new Charlotte Tilbury products, among which were the Hollywood Flawless Filter and the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. Now I have discovered, even though I like using these together, I actually like this foundation even more with my typical matte foundation pairing, which is the Lancôme La Base. This one really blurs out your skin, so that matte thicker foundation lays beautifully on top of it. So I use this one for my Huda foundation, for instance, and I also like using it with my Guerlain Haute Perfection, and I also like using it with this Airbrush Flawless foundation. So I think I'm just going to do that routine because that was my favorite this month. Even though I really like the Flawless Filter, maybe we'll try it on top. So I liked using this one with a more light coverage foundation, so there'd actually be a more, so there'd be a bit more to show up. So I'll zoom you in. Just a little bit. By the way, it's finally nice weather in the Netherlands, so I am wearing a sundress. This is from the Wildflower collection from H&M. It has these, well, wildflowers on it, and I'm very happy with it, in case you were wondering. I'm actually running a little bit low on this primer. I've been using it so much. You don't need that much. Just a little bit to smooth out the skin. Okay, that was maybe a little bit too less. Doesn't come out of the pump anymore, so I'm doing it like this. I do also have the YSL Blur Primer and I think it's basically the same thing, so I'm not going to repurchase it yet. Alright, now I'm going in with the foundation. I have mine in the shade 1 Neutral and I use about a pump and a half. This foundation does oxidize a little bit, so be careful when you pick out a shade. But it's great, especially with a blurring primer like this one. You can really spread it out very thin. And it actually doesn't even look that unnatural, even though it is very full coverage. So in the past couple of days or weeks, I've had a couple of appointments with people. And I usually try to keep my makeup a little bit lighter when I'm meeting people that don't wear makeup, so I don't stand out too much. But I use this foundation for all those meetups because I feel like it's just so pretty. So I didn't have a new concealer this month, but I did find that I really enjoy this Maybelline concealer. This is the Instant Anti-Age. I think isn't it called the Age Rewind? I don't know, my concealer is called Instant Anti-Age. I have mine in the shade Cool Ivory. And I find that this concealer is light enough to brighten, but looks very natural. And with such a full coverage foundation, you really don't need a lot of coverage. I just want a brightening effect. So I've been using this one to achieve that. And then on days when I'm using the Fenty foundation, for instance, which is very light coverage, I can also use this one because then the concealer isn't too heavy with the foundation. And of course I've still been loving my Pat McGrath, but I'd give that a rest for a change. So before going into powder, I want to try using the Hollywood Flawless filter. So I haven't tried this yet as an actual highlighter. I've just tried it underneath foundations, and I'm just going to put it on the tops of my cheeks. Actually, almost everywhere I just put concealer. And I'm going to blend it out with a flat concealer brush like this one. Ooh, I think that's actually picking up some of my concealer. Maybe I should use a sponge. You have to be very careful because it does lift up your foundation if you're not. No, I definitely like this more underneath foundation, but it did give a nice glow. I guess it's not bad, you just have to be a little bit more careful than I was. So now for powder. My absolute favorite this month is this Dior powder. I tried it on the last day of April, I think, or the first day of May. So I couldn't include it in my April favorites, but I do really love it. It's the Dior Forever Cushion Powder in the shade Fair. It comes with a little puff, and then you open it and the powder is underneath a little net. And there is a mirror. And at first I thought this powder was a little bit too dark for underneath my eyes. But I found that if your concealer is light enough, it actually works out fine. Now the thing is, yesterday, so it was technically still May, today is the 31st, I tried some KIKO products from the spring collection. I posted a little review on Instagram and I fell so head over heels in love with that powder. But I've only used it once, so I didn't feel right to include it right away, but I'll show you in a little bit. Look how nice that is. You can still see the shine, but everything is nice and set. I just love this collection. I did a video with a full face of Dior, and I used the bronzer and this powder and the Forever Nude foundation, and I just love the whole line. I can't wait for the highlights. So for brows I haven't done anything special. I just keep using this Kruidvat gel, which sometimes works out great and sometimes gives me a little bit of trouble. It changes every day. So it's technically not really a favorite, but when it works like today, it just means I'm more careful, but when it works, I'm truly quite happy with it. But when I'm not careful and it doesn't work, it really ruins my makeup. My favorite brow gel is still the Pump and Brow from Dior, but I haven't repurchased it yet. Alright, looking a little bit better already. Oh, let me show you the KIKO things. So these were the two things I bought. And it could very well be that by the time I'm posting this video, these things have gone on sale, because the summer collection has now arrived. But don't hold me to that. So this is the powder. It's supposed to be translucent, but I don't think it's going to work on a lot of people. It does actually give a little bit of a white cast. But I like that because I like the brightening effect, and I'm so pale that a white actually works perfectly for me. There's this little swirl imprint, and this is a very smooth and silky powder, which really makes your skin feel very velvety very quickly without using a lot of product. So this will probably be in my favorites for next month. For the rest of the face I want to use this Nars palette I also bought when we went on our little trip. This is the Full Dimension 1 palette. It comes with a bronzer, 2 blushes and a highlight. and I use the highlight as a blush topper. So I'm first going in with the bronzer. I really like this palette because the bronzer is just so perfect. It's not too orange. It is a little bit deep for me, but as you can see, I can work with it fine. And I find the packaging just very aesthetically pleasing. There's something about these 4 rows in the tight space that just feels very luxurious to me. And this bronzer blends out very easily. And I'm sure it builds up for me as well. At least it does as far as I want it to. I really should try to find a smaller brush for my nose and lip contour, because this is quite the mess. I'm going in with my powder brush to make sure the edges are all blended. It gives a nice bronzy contour effect. Looks a little bit darker on camera than it does in real life, by the way. But I think it looks pretty good. It is a little bit more glam, so I don't use this for my everyday makeup look. For the blush, I want to go in with this matte pinky blush. You see, these colors are actually quite pigmented. There is a version 2 of this palette, which has some more reddish, deeper tones, which is meant for deeper skin tones. And now I'm also going to go into the highlighter, and I'm going to put that all over my cheek. I really like this. Oh, my boyfriend is going to hate this. He really hates the shiny cheek. I'm also going to skip an actual highlight. This is more than enough. I did put down the Hollywood Flawless filter after all. Okay, I may have to go over with a little bit of powder. But this palette, 10 out of 10. So I'll just demo the KIKO powder right now. I think this is more of a finishing powder anyway. I'm taking my buffing brush from Real Techniques. And I'm picking up a little bit. That's better, right? So, I usually do my eyes first, and I kind of forgot. My favorite eyeshadow palette this month was the Amrezy palette. I also got this on my little date with my mom, and I've used it quite a bit. And I kind of feel like finally doing something with the blue. Would that match this look? Yes, I think... Wait, let me show you the other palette also. I also tried the Red Velvet palette from I Heart Revolution, and I really love this one as well. I keep it in the box because I think the box is so cute. This is what it looks like. Perfect red toned palette, really pretty. But the Amrezy is my actual favorite. I'm just going to have to be a little bit careful. I'm first going into OG. And I'm putting that in the crease. I'm also putting it on the outer half of the lid and in the outer corner. And I'm taking it out in a little bit of a pointy shape. And with the other side of the brush, I'm also going to put a little bit underneath my lower lash line. And I'm also going into 1988, which is the darker brown. I'm really just doing a very basic look with this. But this is what I've been doing most with this palette. I take OG, I take the 1988 to darken it up. In daytime I keep it at that, and at nighttime I'm adding the black. And then I add some fun shimmers on top. That's truly what I've been doing most with this palette. And I'm going back with OG to make sure the whole thing is a little bit more blended. Now with my finger I'm going into Leo, which is the blue. This will be my first time using the blue. That's beautiful. I really like this blue. I'm taking a tiny brush and I'm going into Barb, which is a duochrome. A pink to green duochrome. And I've wanted to try this in the inner corner. I just keep putting it all over my lid every time. But I think it matches this blue. That's great. Finally, I'm taking some of Wasted, which is the light pink shade. And I'm just going to blend out the edges a little bit. That's it. There wasn't that much fallout, so I'm lucky. I'm just adding a little bit of my Catrice mascara. So all that's needed is a lip. My favorite lip product this month was the Rouge Coco Bloom lipstick by Chanel. I have mine in the shade 140 Alive, which is a beautiful bright red with a metallic finish. I really like the formula of these lipsticks, and whenever I've been wearing red, this is usually the one I'm wearing, or the Charlotte Tilbury Patsy red. But red is not really a match for this look. Luckily, I have another favorite. I also finally bought the Angel Alessandra lipstick by Charlotte Tilbury, which was in the Hot Lips 2 collection. Pretty, right? And the color inside is pretty too. So I'm just going to use this one. It's in the Kissing formula. I think this matches the eye look very well. So that's it for my makeup look of the day. I always love putting all my favorites on my face because I really like the result. And also this time it went very well. Alright, thank you so much for watching my video. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I post 3 times a week with makeup related content, and I'll see you in the next one.